Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Gray, as Senator Franken noted, your agency was responsible for accreditation for the campuses of Corinthian College, this for-profit outfit that recently closed down. Now, before it filed for bankruptcy, Corinthian was under investigation by 20 state attorneys general. 3 AGs had filed lawsuits, as did the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, all alleging that Corinthian lied to its students and defrauded them to get them to enroll. And while this was all going on, you renewed accreditation for 7 campuses in 2013, and right up to the bitter end, you continued accreditation for others, keeping them eligible for federal money, helping them draw in more and more students. So here's my question. How many federal and state agencies need to file lawsuits against one of your colleges before your organization takes a second look at whether that school should be eligible for accreditation and, most importantly, for federal money?
I don't think the number of agencies that are that have an investigation or some type of action going on with one of our institutions is the issue that determines where they stand with us in terms of accreditation.
Well,
but
you may not think the number is important, but we know that you didn't do it when you had 20 attorneys general and 3, let's see, and a federal agency. I just want to know how much you have to go.
Thank you, Senator Warren. As you can imagine, that's of great concern to us. We have a process. We have what we call an adverse file process. Every time any kind of an action by a state or federal agency is entered against one of our schools, we track that very carefully. Obviously, we get a response from the institution as to where they stand with respect to that allegation, and we track it very carefully. But we have our own methods of investigating whether or not there is compliance with our criteria.
Okay, so you were aware of the fact that all of these investigations
we're aware of it.
We're
not only aware of it, we track it.
Had been filed. You were tracking it, and yet you continue
and at the same time,
accredit.
Well, and as I mentioned,
these outfits.
We as an accrediting agency have an obligation and do have our own methods of investigation. So,
I'm sorry, do your methods include if students have been lied to and defrauded by one of your colleges, that might somehow count as a negative in the accrediting process?
Absolutely. We have criteria covering institutional integrity that we diligently review.
Then how did these institutions continue with their accreditation? You accredited them right up to the minute they closed.
We accredit them as long as they comply with our accreditation criteria.
Allegations. Your accreditation criteria included whether or not they lied to their students.
But all of these investigations that you've mentioned are just that. They're investigations. Without outcomes from the investigations, we don't have evidence to take any kind of action. The only evidence we have is what we get from our own investigations.
Are you saying there was no evidence that Corinthian colleges lied to their students? Is that what you're saying? That you independently investigated and you came to the conclusion that they did not lie, that they did not defraud their students, that the Department of Education now has this wrong?
We consistently, not occasionally, but consistently during the accreditation process, review compliance with our criteria, including representation and or misrepresentation to students.
So how did you arrive at the conclusion that they could be accredited if you say you've taken into account whether or not they've lied to their students?
Well, I think you have to understand the accreditation process.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Okay, so I'll try to explain it. We hear allegations. We investigate those allegations. If there is substance in those allegations, we sanction the institution. If the seriousness of the allegations is sufficient, we put the institution on probation. If it's further more serious than that, we withdraw, and the record shows we have withdrawn accreditation.
Dr. Gray, I'm still stuck then at the point. Are you telling me that you found no evidence that Corinthian lied to its students and defrauded them?
I will say we found no evidence that they lied to their students or defrauded them. We do have evidence that, as I mentioned, for some campuses, They were not up to our standards, and those campuses are on monitoring or on
But you're
various sanctions.
monitoring them, and they are...
Or sanctioning.
And they continue to be eligible for federal funds. You know, for years, there have been concerns about Corinthian colleges. There were exposés, investigations, lawsuits, and yet the accrediting agencies continue to look the other way. Corinthian enrolled more and more and more students. It sucked down more and more and more federal aid, while private accrediting organizations collected more and more fees. And now students and taxpayers are stuck with the bill. While there is no accountability for the private accrediting outfits, I do not understand why they should be allowed to collect their fees and just walk away. If accrediting agencies aren't willing to stand up against colleges that are breaking the law, colleges that are cheating their students, then I don't know what good they do, and I sure don't know why we would let them determine which colleges are eligible for federal dollars.
But I can only say that, you know, our council makes its decision based on facts, not allegations. And all the decisions they made, if you look at the record, where there is sufficient information that indicates sanctions or accreditation should be withdrawn, that action has been taken. The integrity of the council in that respect is beyond reproach.